Hey, little champs. Welcome to Peaceful Whisper. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village nestled in the heart of a snowy forest, there lived two little mice, Wendy and her older brother Max. Their home was a cozy nook inside the hollow of an old oak tree, where the walls smelled of fresh wood and the soft glow of candlelight kept the winter chill at bay. It was Christmas Eve, and snowflakes floated down like feathers from the sky, covering the ground in a thick, glistening blanket of white. The village sparkled with cheer. Tiny houses were strung with miniature garlands, and families of mice bustled to and fro, preparing for the special day. But inside their warm little home, Wendy sat by the window, her small paws cupping her cheeks as she stared out at the twinkling stars. She loved Christmas. She loved the decorations, the songs, and most of all, the stories of magic that came with the season. But this year, something felt different. Her brother Max sat on the other side of the room, busily sewing patches onto his worn scarf. Max was older, thoughtful, and always taking care of Wendy since their parents had passed away. He worked hard every day to keep their little home safe and warm, even when it meant giving up his own comforts. Wendy noticed how tired he looked, how his whiskers drooped just a little more than usual. "Max," Wendy said softly, turning toward him, "what do you want for Christmas this year?" Max paused, looking up with a kind smile. "Oh, Wendy, you don't need to worry about me. My Christmas wish is simple. To see you happy and safe. That's all I need." Wendy nodded but couldn't shake the feeling in her heart. Max never asked for anything, she thought. He always put her first, no matter what. As the night wore on, Wendy tucked herself into her little bed. The tree outside whispered as the wind passed through its branches, and the snow outside continued to fall, blanketing the world in stillness. Wendy was just about to close her eyes when... thunk. A soft, strange noise came from outside. Wendy sat up, her ears twitching. "What was that?" she whispered to herself. Carefully, she climbed out of bed, wrapped her small shawl around her shoulders, and tiptoed to the window. The snow outside glowed silver under the moonlight, but right there, just at the base of the old oak tree, something shimmered brightly. Wendy's eyes widened. "What is that?" Without another thought, Wendy slipped on her boots and crept out of the house. The air was freezing, but the sight before her made her forget the cold entirely. There, half buried in the snow, was a lantern unlike any Wendy had ever seen. Its glass was etched with swirling patterns, and inside it, a soft, golden light flickered as if alive. Wendy bent down and carefully brushed away the snow. "Where did you come from?" she whispered in awe. As her paw touched the lantern, it suddenly grew warm, pleasantly warm, and a gentle voice echoed softly around her. "I am the wishing lantern," the voice hummed, soft as a sigh. "On this Christmas Eve, I shall grant you one wish, one true, selfless wish." Wendy gasped, her eyes round with wonder. "A wish? A real wish?" The lantern's light seemed to twinkle in response. Wendy's mind raced. She had heard of magical things happening on Christmas Eve, but she never thought she'd be the one to stumble upon such a wonder. "One wish," she murmured. "Anything I want?" Her thoughts filled with dreams. She could wish for new toys, a basket of the sweetest berries, or even a magical sled to glide over the snow. The idea of so many wonderful things made her heart flutter with excitement. But then, as quickly as the dreams came, her thoughts turned back to Max. His tired eyes, his patched scarf, and the way he always gave her his share of bread when food was scarce. Wendy looked back at the house, its windows glowing faintly in the night. Max never wished for anything, she remembered. "What if," Wendy whispered to herself, kneeling in the snow, "what if I used the wish for him?" The lantern's golden light grew warmer, as if it understood the thought in her heart. Wendy sat there for a long moment, snow falling gently around her. Finally, she stood up tall, holding the lantern close. "I know my wish," she said, her voice steady. "I wish for my brother Max to be truly happy. I wish for him to have everything he needs, and a little extra to make him smile." The lantern glowed brightly, so brightly that Wendy had to close her eyes. A warmth unlike any other surrounded her, filling the air with a sense of peace and joy. The voice from before returned, its tone soft and full of kindness. "Your wish is granted, Wendy. True joy comes from thinking of others, and your heart has shown great love tonight. When Wendy opened her eyes, the lantern's light dimmed and its glass shimmered faintly before going dark. The magic was complete. Wendy carefully placed the lantern back in the snow, right where she had found it, and hurried back inside. The next morning, Christmas Day dawned with a brilliant light. Sunbeams danced through the snowy branches, and the village awoke to celebrate. Wendy opened her eyes to the smell of something wonderful drifting through the air. "Is that bread?" she wondered aloud, sitting up. She hurried to the small table in the center of their home, where Max stood with a beaming smile. "Merry Christmas, Wendy," he said cheerfully. On the table sat a loaf of fresh bread, a pot of honey, and a scarf, a brand new scarf, folded neatly beside it. Wendy's jaw dropped. "Max, where did all of this come from?" Max chuckled, his whiskers twitching happily. "You won't believe it. I woke up this morning and right outside our door was a basket filled with food, a new scarf, and even a letter inviting me to work in the village bakery. They said they needed a good pair of paws to help." Wendy's heart swelled with joy. The wish had come true. Her brother was smiling, happier than she had seen him in a long, long time. She couldn't stop herself from running over and hugging him tightly. "I'm so happy for you, Max." Max looked down at her with warmth in his eyes. "And I'm happy for you too, Wendy. We'll have a proper Christmas dinner tonight, and from now on, things are going to get better. I just know it." Wendy's heart glowed like the lantern had the night before. She hadn't wished for toys or berries or magical sleds, but seeing Max smile, that was the best Christmas gift she could ever have. As the sun began to set, Wendy found herself by the window again, looking out at the snow-covered ground. The spot where she had found the lantern was empty now, as if it had never been there at all. But deep down, Wendy knew it had been real. And somewhere out in the snowy forest, the magic of the wishing lantern lingered, waiting for another kind and selfless heart to discover it. "Merry Christmas," Wendy whispered, her eyes shining with happiness. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, it seemed as though one of them winked back, as if to say, "Well done, Wendy. Well done." Thanks for watching, champs. Just don't forget to like and subscribe.